Good afternoon. Welcome to a conversation with a Trailblazer featuring retired Judge Alexander Williams, Jr. My name is Nichole C. Gatewood, and I am the immediate past president of the Maryland chapter of the Federal Bar Association and chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. I'm also a litigation and estate and planning attorney with the firm of Gatewood and Associates. On behalf of our chapter, I welcome you to this afternoon's program in celebration of Black History Month. With me, I am joined by our esteemed president, Bob Brennan. Thank you, Bob, for being with us this afternoon.
Well, thank you, Nikki. It's great to be here, and thank you and the work of the subcommittee with Gina Smith pulling this stuff together. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to the conversation.
So am I. Thank you. This program would not be possible, as Bob has mentioned, without our Black History Month Program Committee, comprised of our chair, Gina Smith, and committee members, Francisco Carrito, Tom Barnard, Sonia Kumar, myself, and the support of our president, Bob Brennan. I'd also like to thank Miles and Stockbridge for providing this virtual platform for us this afternoon, and to Alfonso Nolly for his technical expertise and invaluable support. Before we get underway, there are a few housekeeping matters that I'll address. As time permits, we will take questions at the end of the chat. To submit a question, please use the box at the bottom of your screen. You may submit questions throughout the chat. We will get to as many as possible at the end. If you encounter sound or viewing quality issues, please refresh your web page and come back in to reset your stream. At the close of today's events, we will also share some upcoming events that our chapter will be sponsoring. So don't leave, stay tuned. Facilitating today's chat is a personal honor for me. Judge Alexander Williams, Jr. has and remains a change agent. He is a legal legend, both in our legal community and as a steward for educational and social justice. Judge Williams, thank you so much for being with us today. We're honored to have you.
Well, Nikki, it's a real pleasure and a privilege to be here with you on this Black History Month, and I hope that I can at least let the viewers know something about me and what I've been privileged to accomplish.
I know that you will, Judge. Thank you. So before we begin, I am going to share a little bit about Judge Williams' bio, which does not do him justice, but we simply don't have the time to go into everything. So let's just learn a bit. Judge Williams is a proud native of Washington, D.C., and a triple graduate of Howard University, where he earned a BA in government, a Master's of Arts in Religious Studies, and a JD cum laude. He also graduated from Temple University, where he earned a Master of Arts in Religion and Ethics. After graduating from law school, Judge Williams was law clerk to the then only Black judge on the 7th Judicial Circuit of Maryland, Judge James H. Taylor. After completing his clerkship, Judge Williams went on to practice in the private sector, served as a part-time substitute juvenile master and assistant public defender in the Prince George's County Public Defender's Office before achieving two historic firsts, being elected as the first Black person to serve as the state's attorney for Prince George's County and the first Black person to hold county-wide office. In 1994, Judge Williams was commissioned to a seat on the United States District Court for the District of Maryland and took senior status in 2013 before retiring from active service in 2014. Opening a new chapter, Judge Williams founded the Judge Alexander Williams Jr. Center for Education, Justice, and Ethics, a policy institute, to advance social justice matters and transform systems of inequality. In addition to these duties, as though that were not enough, and being an illustrious jurist and change agent, Judge Williams currently teaches at his alma mater, Howard University, in both the law school and the School of Divinity, and he has lectured and continues to, and has participated in numerous conferences across the world. Judge, we're honored to have you.
Thank you so much. You remind me some things I had almost forgotten.
Well, I'd like to begin today's discussion by focusing on what it means to be a trailblazer. The definition is one that blazes a trail, is an innovative leader in a field, a pioneer, and blazes a trail to guide others as a pathfinder. To become a trailblazer, you have to withstand a lot of no's before you get a yes. So Judge, can you take us back to your first impactful no and how that propelled you forward?
Well, again, I'm sure there's a number of trailblazers on this call and others, but I've had to face a number of challenges across the years, starting, of course, with public school teachers and counselors who never believed in my ability to be a college graduate or even to go to college. So that was the first challenge. I had other challenges as I embarked on my legal career, again, becoming the first Black to win a countywide elected official position in Prince George's County was a challenge because so many didn't think that I had what it needed in me to serve in that job as a chief law enforcement officer. And of course, when I was nominated for the federal bench, I ran into opposition from the American Bar Association that placed a label on me as not qualified. So I've had some challenges, which I was able to move right on the path. And sometimes, Nikki, when you're just in the right spot at the right time, you become a trailblazer. And there's a number of other trailblazers around. Adrian Jones is the first Black female speaker. And of course, so we just saw the Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first woman on the Supreme Court. And we've had a number of other persons who were first in the various counties. In my county, Judge Tillerson, Sheila Tillerson Adams was the first female to serve on the bench, and Judge Houghton was the first circuit court judge in Prince George's County. So we've had a number of people who became the first. And again, it's based on being in the right spot at the right time in history, and then you move forward. So it's a privilege to have those footnotes as the first, or to have broken glass or achieve through the barriers that were imposed on people. So I'm one of so many, and I'm just glad to be able to talk about it here today.
Thank you, Judge. You are so humble and gracious, and you remind me of all of the first that we are still breaking glass to achieve. Being Black History Month, there's much that we must fight through and move forward, and also to celebrate. And I want to discuss with you the importance of mentorship, because we talk a lot about mentorship versus sponsorship and why that matters and what impactful roles those persons serve in your life. I know that you attended Howard University, triple graduate. How did having law professors like the ones at Howard University that were handling some of the biggest civil rights cases of our lifetime frame your view of the law, and also prepare you to be the type of jurist that you are?
Yeah, Nikki, thank you for asking that question. I was very privileged to have been at Howard right after the great struggles of the 50s and 60s. I entered Howard in 1966 and then went to the law school from 70 to 73. And I was very fortunate to have been taught by a number of trailblazers and other giants who argued many of the civil rights cases that we saw in the court. I was around the former president of Howard University, James Nabrit. And James Nabrit, of course, along with Thurgood Marshall, argued Brown. Nabrit had the Sharp case out of DC, but I had Nabrit that I talked with a lot and lectured, in constitutional law. I had Herbert O. Reed, another professor who argued the Powell versus McCormick case on exclusion Congress people. And there were other heavyweights who had argued cases all around the South. And those guys taught me, first of all, that you need to be prepared. You need to understand that it's going to be challenges. And they not only taught the law, but they mentored me and gave me the confidence to move forward and to never let anyone tell you what you can't do. If you have a passion and you're prepared to work hard, you can achieve it. And that's the message that I got from a lot of my law professors and some of the early lawyers in the county, in Prince George's County, who mentored me.
That's fantastic. And I know that you yourself pay that forward. And as we chatted and prepared for today's conversation, you were sharing with me how important it is to make sure that you are creating that foundation. And you have a platform that you've created throughout not only the state, the nation, and globally, all the way to Liberia with your students. What is it that you think that you have taken away as an educator, as a mentor, as a judge with law clerks and so forth, that has allowed so many of those under your tutelage to go forth in leadership and service?
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. Again, I've been privileged to have had key jobs that put me in a position to mentor and share whatever wisdom I had. I like to think that there were three buckets of individuals that I had an impact on. One, of course, was my students at Howard Law School. I suspect I've taught over 2,000 students across the years, and they've just done some wonderful things. They've achieved a lot. And so I think my fingerprints certainly are on many of those students. The second bucket, of course, was when I was the state's attorney for Prince George's County. I appointed and nominated a number of assistant state's attorneys who've gone on to do a number of wonderful things, practicing law, serving on the bench, and in other positions. I think there's probably 20 judges around the state that appointed as assistant state's attorneys, and I'm very proud of that, Mark. And then the third bucket, of course, was my law clerks. I had 40 law clerks doing 20 years of service on the bench, and many of them have moved out into the world, and they've just done such marvelous things. I'm so proud of these three buckets, and that's to me what I leave as a legacy. Having facilitated and opened doors for people the same way doors are open for me. So I could go on and talk about my former students and assistant state's attorneys and lawyers that I taught law clerks, but it would take weeks, to get through that. But I'm very, very proud of that, what I've done from that standpoint.
And you're not done yet. We're going to talk more about your new center in a bit and how you're still impacting and educating lives and creating all kinds of things. But before we get there, we've got to go back and talk about how you got into these positions, because you mentioned a key role. You said you were in a position to be able to help open doors for others. And that does not come lightly. And it does not come without fortitude and grit and perseverance. So I'd like for you to share with our audience today a little bit about how you decided to run for state's attorney for Prince George's County and what that was like. That was a historic first on two different levels. Could you enlighten us a bit?
Yeah, a lot of times, Nikki, you think back at it, you didn't recognize that it was a breakthrough at that time where you were overcoming barriers. I just had a number of wonderful clients and friends and lawyers in the county who believed in me. And I know that one that Betty Hewlett, who was just a trailblazer herself in Prince George's County, but she, along with Wayne Carey and others, and we got advice from Professor Gibson at the University of Maryland Law School, and we decided that we would take on the incumbent who had been there for 24 years. At the time, Prince George's County just had no Black elected officials on the county level. The 5 big jobs, county exec, state's attorney, clerk of the court, register of wills, and the sheriff, all were white. And there'd never been an African-American to do that. So I got with Betty, who was so passionate about me winning this seat, and we worked hard and we were able to overcome and the challenge, and we won a nail biter, but we won. And we became the elected state's attorney for the county. And, you know, I tell you, Nikki, it's not so much that we're celebrating persons who are the first. We've got to get past that. And the issue, of course, is once you have become a first and we've celebrated that, the issue is what have you done to contribute meaningfully, or have you made a difference? Or as you had opened up, have you been a change agent, or have you done anything transformational? And that's formative. And that's what I think I've tried to do in the various positions that I've had, to push others, push students, push assistants, push law clerks, and push others, and afford them the opportunity to achieve and to accomplish. And that's what I've tried to do all of my life. And that's the legacy that I want to leave. Running as the first Black state's attorney was a tough job. I ran into a number of challenges throughout the campaign, but with the assistance of my supporters and others, and we were able to persevere and become that history making person.
Thank you, Judge. You and I have talked a lot offline, and you know that I feel that it's really important not only to create the template, but to make sure that you replicate it for those to come after you. And that's why I think it's so important to ask you these questions, because we're still in a generation of creating many firsts. We just received our first governor of Maryland, who happens to be a Black man. We have our first U.S. attorney for Maryland, who happens to be a Black man. And these historic firsts are possible because we have the mentor and sponsorship of persons who show us that it's possible, who look like us. And so as you are pouring into these lessons, and we see it more frequently, what are the takeaways that you have for those coming after you that we need to remember?
Yeah, first thing, obviously, we have to inform the present generation that they can do the same things that we have done. And for those who serve as mentors, again, we have to understand that we were appointed, or we became a first, but we were not anointed, that we have to continue to learn and grow, and we have to be approachable. We have to share our experience. We have to be respectful, and we've got to encourage the young people to follow those kind of things and become as persons with integrity. Ethics is very, very important to me. I've always felt that, and I'm very pleased to be able to tell you that in all my years of public service and having served in critical positions, there hasn't been a hint of scandal. And that's something that I'm very, very proud of. And so those are the kind of lessons that we provide, and we give, and we share with those, the next generation. It's a teaching kind of thing, and that's what we're trying to do.
It is a teaching thing. And talking about a teaching thing, let's talk about your center, because you now have this policy institute in your name that's housed on the University of Maryland's campus that deals with social justice and ethics issues. Some people know the name, but they don't know what it really means. Judge, could you tell us what kind of work do you do?
Sure. And before I go into that, Nikki, I want to let the listeners know and the viewers know that I really enjoyed my time on the bench. I spent 20 years as a United States District Court judge, and the cases were just wonderful. I think I had an impact. I think I made a difference. I made some critical decisions in all types of cases, criminal cases, environmental cases, employment and labor, and a lot of Fourth Amendment issues I had to wrestle with. And I think that let people know that we were reflective. We thought about what we were doing, and we made decisions that were based on fact and the law and so forth. So from that standpoint, I think that I did a decent job. You have to ask some of the lawyers who came before me for that. But 20 years was just a wonderful period of time that I had. The only bad part I didn't like about the federal judgeship is that our hands were tied with the sentencing guidelines. We didn't have a lot of discretion there, so I had to comply with that. But beyond that, I decided after 20 years, just about 20 years, that I wanted to use my interests, my contacts, my experience in doing something else back in the community. And so with the assistance of a couple of my law clerks, we put together articles of incorporation and bylaws to form the Judge Alexander Williams Jr. Center for Education, Justice, and Ethics. It was a nonprofit initially that we started off with once I retired in January of 14. But right after that, the president of the University of Maryland, Dr. Toll, heard about it, and he asked me to bring this nonprofit to the University of Maryland in the College of Behavior and Social Sciences, which I did. And now I'm affiliated with that academic program. And it's, as you said, it's a policy center, and we deal with issues of social justice. We introduce policy, we do research, we put on programs and other initiatives that help, I call it the disadvantaged and underserved communities. Some of it obviously is mentoring and diversionary tactics for juveniles. We do a lot for the persons who are returning home from having served time, looking at the challenges that they have. We deal with issues such as disparities in health and in wealth. And we put on a number of programs and initiatives that people come and they visit and so forth. So we're trying to become change agents with this a wonderful center that we have. I have a podcast associated with that, and we invite experts to come in and teach and lecture. And so we do a lot, and we're not restricted just to Prince George's County, but we put on programs in Montgomery and in Anne Arundel and Southern Maryland. And we're very pleased to announce that we're moving to, we're not moving, we're expanding to Baltimore, to West Baltimore, in the new Justice Thurgood Marshall's Amenity Center at PS 103 that's being renovated right now. And we're going to have space there. And we're going to have exciting programs there on gun violence. We're going to try to address some of those issues. We're going to have health disparities classes. We're going to have we do have a boot camp where we look at the students at the Baltimore City high schools, and we bring them to the campus at the University of Maryland. We do that. We launched that last year. We're doing it in a couple of months this year again. And these students that we bring in get lectures, they see the campus, and we have discussions with them as to of issues, hot button issues that out here, right now. So we're also going to have an ethics academy at that Baltimore center. And of course, we're going to have tremendous other programs that's going to, we think, help the community. So this is something that I always wanted to do. As I said, I love being a judge, but this to me was more important that I bring whatever my passion, whatever my vision, whatever experiences and connections I had to open it up. And the General Assembly has been very, very supportive. The governor previous governor and this governor also. I'm excited that he is supportive, or going to be supportive of what we're trying to do with the AW Center. So it's a wonderful project. I'm excited. I go to work every day, excited about what I do, and we're expanding.
That's phenomenal, Judge. I hear this theme coming full circle of your ethics, your divinity, your legal path, your work in the community as a civic steward. It has all come full circle. And so I have a question for you. Do you think that you find your purpose as you walk your path, or does your path lead you to find your purpose?
Well, I probably a little of both. I've always had this vision to give back and to address the challenges that people have, every day. I didn't grow up with a silver stocking in my background. I come from parents who were not college graduates at all. In fact, my father never finished high school. So, but they gave us love at the house, and they pushed their children to do well and to take advantages of opportunities that they didn't have. And so I've always had that passion. I've always had that vision. I got it from my parents and grandparents. And then many of the teachers at Howard undergrad and Howard Law School, as well as the Divinity School, then inculcated in me those type of things that was important to me. People ask me, why did I go to the Divinity School? Well, I really went to the Divinity School to help me set the tone and describe the face of justice that I wanted. And the Divinity School helped me do that, and just met some great people from that standpoint. So that's what I have done, and that's the passion that I had, and it enabled me to come out here and open up a policy center that would address some of these issues, at least have a hand in helping to address and resolve some of the great issues of our time.
So now your judicial arm is meeting the legislative arm, and they're coming hand in hand.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I had a great time on the bench. I had great colleagues. I had great lawyers who appeared before me. I had great cases to deal with, some of the landmark cases. Some of you travel Route 200, the Inter-County Connector. That case was before me, and I had to battle a lot of the environmental challenges and issues that came, and put out 105 opinion to uphold that project. Just had a number of issues where people sued the president, and some of those cases came before me. And it was just a great experience that I had. I just enjoyed that. My experience was mostly criminal, but again, the civil cases, some of you may know, if any people who work in Congress know about the Stock Act. Congress had required a lot of disclosures of information that the congressman had to put in, and it was a big class action lawsuit that was filed by senior executives saying that they didn't need to disclose all this financial information. The case came before me. I ruled in their favor, and the matter went to the Fourth Circuit that ultimately was dropped. So I can't begin to tell you the number of great cases and class action suits and criminal sentences that I had as a judge, and all of that the wealth of experience that I had, I brought it to my center, the Judge Alexander Williams Center. And we get a lot of calls from former inmates and other persons who have questions that they'd like me to share my thoughts with them, and I do that. And I've never really got away from giving back to students and young people. I still get a lot of students who are in college and ask me, what judge should I major in? I want to be a lawyer, and give them my thoughts to what they ought to do. And then young lawyers starting their career, they always come and they ask for advice and directions. I always give my time to them, and I've talked to a number of people who want to be judges, and I talk to them. So again, Nikki, I just have to continue to go back and say I'm just privileged to have been able to facilitate some of the things that people have accomplished and achieved, and I've had a hand in some of that based on being in the right spot at the right time. I always kid people in Southern Maryland that my fingerprints are all in Southern Maryland. Three of the last three state's attorneys were assistant state's attorneys for me, including Wells, who is on, as you all know, he's chief judge of the Court of Special Appeals, and the present state's attorney sworn in, Bob Harvey. He was my chief for the criminal division during my term as state's attorney. In Charles County, we have Tony Covington, who's the state's attorney down there. He's been there 3 times as a state's attorney elected, and I gave him his first job as assistant state's attorney in Prince George's. And the St. Mary's County, the mother county, the present state's attorney, Jamie Sterling, was my law clerk there, and so forth. So I'm just proud of people who I had a hand in, and the former state's attorney for Prince George's County, Angela also Brooks, and now the county executive. She was a judicial intern in my office, so she was a law student at the University of Maryland. So these individuals, again, I had an opportunity to, I don't want to say influence, but I had some impact. Impact on what they have done and continue to do. And I'm so proud of that. And that's my legacy.
It's a beautiful legacy, and it's an important legacy. And as I shared with you offline, there's a secret sauce to what you're able to do to create and elevate people to have the elements to go on and have leadership successfully in these key roles. It happens in your infancy in the law, and you are only as strong as your tutelage. And you're so humble and so gracious as you don't boast about it, but hearing just the list of the law clerks and persons you've hired and had that impact on, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity and ask, what was it? What is it about the way that you helped them to frame their careers in their infancy that has helped them to elevate?
Yeah, let me just share a few things about me. I didn't know anything about Maryland or even Prince George's County when I was coming up. And what happened, Nikki, I bought a season's ticket to the Washington Redskins games in DC. And I had happened to sit next to me was a gentleman by the name of Ralph Powers. And Ralph Powers was a very humble guy. And he told me later that he was the chief judge of the circuit court for Prince George's County. And he took an interest in me and in my career. When I got to college and law school, he began to ask more questions. And ultimately, he introduced Prince George's County to me. He invited me to apply for a law clerk position with the then state's attorney. And then he also gave me the recommendation to clerk for James Taylor, the only Black circuit court judge there. So he helped open the door to the county for me. And then I had a number of other mentors at that time, young lawyers, a lot of white lawyers who were in the county at that time. And they shared some things with me that I needed to know. And so people opened doors for me. to succeed. And so I never forgot that. And so when I got to a position that I could help somebody, I wanted to do it. That's what you do. My professors at Howard told me to do that, and people who I was around told me to do that. So I've just gotten a wonderful kick and enjoyment out of reaching out and lifting up others who ultimately will probably exceed some of the things that I've done. And I'm proud about that. I'm glad about that from that standpoint. So mentoring, giving back, teaching, sharing experiences, and giving insight to those who are behind me and coming up. That's just something that I cherish. And as I said before, that's going to be the legacy that I leave. And hopefully people will be able to go back and say, well, Alex Williams gave back and he did that.
And to that point, you have a book coming out that's going to memorialize a lot of this wisdom that you're sharing with us. Would you care to tell us the title of your book and a little bit about it?
Yes. Thank you for asking. And hopefully I'll get some readers because of the challenge that I faced, the labels that people put on me when I was coming up, not qualified for college, not college material, not qualified to become state's attorney, not qualified to be on the federal bench. I have a book coming out that's going to autobiography. It's going to be called Not Qualified. And that's the battle of Alex Williams to overcome those kind of hurdles. And it's going to outline a lot of the things that I've stated here, and things happen. And young people and the young lawyers who may be listening to this, they need to understand that there's going to be challenges. And you can't do anything about that. People are going to say that or challenge you in terms of what you've done in your experiences, and you just have to fight through it. And you can't let people tell you what you are not able to do. Again, if you have the passion and the preparation and the hard work ethics, you certainly can do that. I had to overcome the whole thing with the American Bar Association, and in all fairness to them, I had a different type of practice. I didn't. Most of the judges on the federal court were either former judges or they were partners with major firms, and I was a small practitioner. I had little small cases, misdemeanors, landlord and tenant things. I was a public defender for the juvenile. I had hundreds and hundreds of little cases. And in all fairness to the American Bar Association, it wasn't based on race, in my opinion, but they just were not comfortable with my experience, and they didn't think that, and I hadn't had any federal cases before, and so they just didn't think that I had enough experience to serve on the federal bench. Of course, obviously I disagreed with them. And the National Bar Association disagreed with them. So I had so much support that the recommendation of the American Bar Association was meaningless. And I'm putting all this in my book. I had the support of the local bar. I had the support of the Maryland bar. I had the support of lawyers, law professors. I had the support of public officials. And together, we all came together and urged the Senate to confirm me. And I had a wonderful presenter in Senator Sarbanes and Senator Mikulski. They never ever thought about withdrawing it merely because of a recommendation from the American Bar Association. And I had the support of, as I said, the elected officials. So we went ahead, and ultimately it came down to my presentation before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I got a vote of 98-0. Just 2 senators were absent, so the American Bar Association's recommendation was meaningless. And I recall that Senate Judiciary meeting so vividly now, and I had the 5 big guns who started off. I had Senator Sarbanes, Senator Bukowski, Congressman Hoyer, Congressman Infume, and Congressman Albert Wynn, and they went to work, and they presented me with powerful presentations about who I was and what I had achieved, and those kind of things are outlined in my book. But I've just enjoyed a wonderful life of support from not just mentors but supporters. And I'm putting all of this in my book. I hope to have it completed sometime, maybe by summer or whatever. But looking for a couple of editors right now and see if anybody has any interest in it. But that's my bio, and it's going to again outline and summarize all of these things that I've said and shared based on your interview here today.
But it's so profound, Judge. And one thing that just sticks out to me is you being able to galvanize support. You galvanize support against the odds when you were running for state's attorney. You galvanized support when you were told no, and you were in the process of seeking your application for nomination to the federal court. This process of not accepting no and galvanizing support and being able to have people who don't just celebrate you, but are willing to speak your names in other rooms as sponsors. This is an art form. I want you to unpack that for us a bit, because everyone does not know how to do it. And it seems like for you, that was the difference between you getting over that hurdle of no and pushing and breaking through to yes.
Yeah, it's it's relationships, Nikki. I think you have to have that. And as I've practiced law, I've always been respectful, even of my opponents that I came against in the courtroom. We were respectful, and I called a number of people across the years and asked for advice and help. I couldn't do it all on my own, and so you have to remember that we're not an island. That we work together. Those things ultimately come back, to benefit you, from that standpoint. So I been very, very fortunate. Had great friends and family that supported me and pushed me, and you just need to remember that. One of the things that handicapped me, and I'll just share this with some of the other lawyers, that you just can't take things for granted. I had some naive moments, particularly when I sought the nomination to the federal court. I just thought it would come easy. I'd been elected by the citizens twice, a large jurisdiction as state's attorney. I'd had a wonderful legal career. I taught law, I practiced law, and I didn't think that I would have any problem at all getting confirmed. That's naive. And one of my friends on the federal bench told me, he said, Alex, you should have approached that thing as if you had a big case. You should have gotten a big committee together. You should have understood that obstacles and challenges was going to come. And you didn't. And you kind of let your hair down, and you saw what happened, from that standpoint. So that's on me. I should have taken that a little more serious and not just casually. Put my name out there and thought I could get, confirmed. And that's the same thing when I ran for state's attorney. A lot of people were trying to get the then state's attorney to bow out and take a judgeship in Prince George's County and then give me the job without a fight. And he said, no, he wasn't going to do that, which ended up being the best thing for me, because I got into a big battle, one of the biggest battles I ever had to become the state's attorney, and only beat him countywide by about 1,200 votes. And I had to really get the support and galvanize the community from that standpoint. So I want to tell the generation of lawyers behind me right now, you just got to fight. You can't take anything for granted. If you know what you want to do or you have a goal, you got to plan it. You have to prepare yourself, and you got to go at it as if it's just something I've learned across the years.
That's fantastic advice, Judge. Cover those P's, plan it, prepare for it,
That's right.
proceed through it. One other question for you that I do have is, there's a mystique around applying to become a federal judge, and many have tried, few have excelled. Do you have any words of advice for those persons who may be considering application in the future? What should they be doing now to prepare themselves for the best posture?
Yeah, of course, unlike so many positions available in the state system, there are only 10 positions in Maryland for federal judges. There's 6 in Baltimore, the Northern Division, and 4 in Greenbelt, and openings are rare. People have lifetime jobs, and they pretty much stay a lifetime. And we don't have the limitations the way the state has. At 70, you've got to step down. So you don't get that many openings. But I would just say, and I want to be very, very clear, we've got some outstanding judges in Maryland on all levels of court. Outstanding. I'm very proud of them. And in my position as chair of the Appellate Nominating Commission, I've just seen just great people come before me. And you can look at the Supreme Court, you can look at the Appellate Court, and you can see how outstanding it is and how many great judges we had to make up those 2 courts. But I would say to those who are interested in the federal court that check the openings, and there is an opening, I understand it, down in Greenbelt. One of the judges just announced that he'll be leaving. In fact, a guy to replace me. His name escapes me right now. But anyway, he'll come to me in a second. But he has announced that he's leaving and going into private practice. So there's an opening. So I would just say to all of the persons either in private practice or you have you're on the state bench right now, or you have other experience, you may be a teacher, apply. Again, it will not be anything negative from your standpoint if you don't get it. Anything's possible. And so if you think you have the interest and the passion to work hard and get that, you can do it. Yeah.
Bob just put in the chat to me that was Judge Hazel.
Yeah, George Hazel. Yeah, sorry, George, if you're listening. I got so much on my mind right now. Yeah, George Hazel. Yeah, George Hazel
was a state's attorney in Baltimore City.
That's right. And so he's on the bench doing a fantastic job right now, and he's decided that he is going to do something else. So those positions do come open from time to time, and no one should be discouraged because it's difficult to get. I didn't think I would get it. There probably was 50 people that applied when I applied. And it just so happened that Senator Sarbanes wanted to get some balance, some geographical balance. He had these new judgeships in the Southern Division. And so I was able to get that nod, which I'm grateful for. So anything's possible, and I would just say apply. And I'm just so impressed with the quality of judges that we have in our state right now on the state bench.
Well, thank you, Judge. I think that's a perfect note to leave on. And this has been a phenomenal conversation. I have so enjoyed it. I appreciate you on a personal level, and it has just been my honor to be able to chat with you and talk about the legacy that you are still building, the things that are to come, and how you are imparting wisdom for generations and generations to come. I hope that others who are watching this are taking note and thinking about how we can follow the template that Judge Williams has set for us. We don't see any questions in the chat at this moment, so we are going to get ready to tell you a few things about upcoming calendar events. Bob, does anything you want to add before I do that?
No, other than to thank you both for a fantastic conversation and really appreciated it. And again, thank you to you and the committee with you and Gina and all the other people you mentioned for your hard work in pulling us together. And especially to you, Judge Williams, for your time this afternoon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bob, did you enjoy this as much as I did?
Perhaps even more, because I didn't have to do any of the work.
Well, thank you to all of our guests who joined us and for those who'll be watching later. And again, I hope you found this incredibly inspiring. And if you like our programming, we have a few more things that are going to be upcoming. Please save the date for May 20th. We have our FBA annual luncheon coming up. We also have a law clerk networking event that will be occurring in early March. Stay tuned for that information. And we have an affirmative action panel by our diversity and inclusion committee coming up in mid-April. So stay tuned. Please join us for more engaging programmatic opportunities. And if you're not a member of our Federal Bar Association Maryland chapter, you should be. Please join us. You can register and become a member at www.fbamd.org. That is www.fbamd.org. There, you'll see all kinds of different information about programs we've done before, things that we're working on, and committee opportunities. We would love for you to come and get involved. In fact, I know Bob would love for you to work on the newsletter. He is putting out an inspiring issue coming up soon. We're always looking for people who want to write articles and do spotlights and so forth. So again, thank you on behalf of our chapter, and we hope that you have a marvelous rest of your day.